When is good bad? Are you being offensive if you use the word good? And if you send this emoji to a Gen Z person, why do you hate them? Today, let's break down one of the most common words in the English language and examine why good might not always be so good after all. If I asked you to think of something good, you might immediately think of a delicious cup of coffee, your favorite movie, or perhaps this dog speedrunning a video game. Yes, that is real. That dog actually pushed those buttons and is truly a contender for an outstanding example of a good dog. But good didn't always have the broad meaning it has today. A common Germanic adjective, good dates back as far as the 6th century, with the earliest uses of good coming from the Goths. No, not those Goths. These ones. The Goths translated parts of the New Testament from Greek, and according to Oxford University Press columnist Anatoly Lieberman in a brief etymology article, good occurs as an attribute of a servant, a soldier, and a shepherd, and carries rather obvious connotations of efficiency rather than goodness. In other words, to be called good, you had to be good at something, or useful in some way. Even more evidence that that dog doing a speedrun is indeed a very good dog. Lieberman notes that 3 Greek words were rendered as good in the Gothic translation of the Bible. Agathos meaning broadly good in a sense of braveness or nobility, Christos meaning useful or virtuous, and kalos meaning beautiful or morally beautiful. Lieberman also notes that today we use the adjective good freely. Good man, good food, good house, and so forth. But in Old Germanic, this word had the connotations worthy, noble, and was much more often applied to people than things. Today, the dictionary includes a massive list of ways good can be used and even touches on a common usage question, whether good or well should be used to describe one's condition, with one old usage preference suggesting that I feel well would be preferable. In today's language, both good and well are accepted ways to talk about our conditions, and we, as a society, likely have James Brown to thank for that. But the efficiency meaning of good hasn't completely dissolved over time. Take, for example, this unusual situation in which a confused Reddit user who is a non-native speaker of English shared a text message conversation with a rental car service provider. Here, the customer requested information about a car pickup at 9, and upon receiving a "will send details shortly" response from the provider, replied "good," which apparently really pissed the service provider off. The conversation allegedly continued beyond the details shared in this screenshot, with the car rental person lecturing this customer about their bad manners, leading to this person's understandably very confused post. If you reply that something is good, doesn't that mean everything is fine, acceptable, efficient even? Not necessarily. While in this case, the car rental provider was completely out of line for lecturing a customer for this and might have just been having a bad day, the reason for their anger in the first place was the implication that the rental car staff person was below the customer and was being commanded by the customer, like in action and adventure movies, when someone in a command position gives a subordinate orders. The subordinate does the thing and reports back to their commander with something like, "the job is done," and the supervisor responds simply, "good." And while that brief exchange does communicate that the supervisor is pleased, there's also a much subtler meaning to this kind of short response, isn't there? You, person under my command, have worked efficiently to do what I asked you to do, and this currently pleases me. Can you see how being told good might piss someone off if they're not your servant? Even if they are your servant, a little bit of common decency goes a long way, especially these days. So what could the customer have said to avoid all of this confusion and misplaced anger? There are a few options, such as great, fantastic, or okay. But since this video is about good, let's go with sounds good and head further into the rabbit hole of weirdness that is this word and its modern usage. When we say that something sounds good or looks good, we communicate that while we may not know the full details of what is going to happen, at the moment, given the information we have, the situation appears acceptable to us. Right? But the same isn't always true when we say, "I'm good," or "you're good." Let's look at a simple table to break down some of the various and terrifying ways these two seemingly harmless phrases can be used in everyday life. Let's start with "I'm good," a generally inoffensive way of saying "I am good" without anything else. But let's see how that can change in a few different situations. For example, if someone says, "How are you?" "I'm good" means I am fine. If someone offers you something or offers to help you and you say "I'm good," it means no. If you're approached on the street and asked, "Do you have a moment to talk about a niche political topic and perhaps donate to it?" "I'm good" is the politest way to say, "Please go away." Let's compare this to "you're good," which is a generally inoffensive way of saying you do not need to do anything, or you are fine. As a question, of course, it means, are you good? If you're moving through a crowded area and someone looks stressed about getting out of your way, a simple "you're good" indicates, don't worry, you don't need to do anything. If your overly enthusiastic coworker who always makes a mess of every project they join tries to get in on the latest thing you're working on, "you're good" means please no, and also please, please, please go away. We can also do some nuanced soul crushing with "no good" and "not good," which are incredibly similar in both meaning and usage, but with one key difference. Let's use this quick example to illustrate. Imagine you're watching tennis, and there's a play where, say, the ball goes out of bounds. An official might declare the play is no good, and you, as a spectator, might declare that an athlete's performance in the play was not good. Both would be correct, yes? And there is a difference there that might be hard to pinpoint. No good communicates that something has zero value. Remember how the original meaning of good was closely linked to efficiency and purpose? When something is no good, it is not useful, not helpful, or not valuable in some way. In the tennis example, a play that is no good has no value because no points are scored. An expired coupon is no good because it cannot be used any longer. A person who is described as no good is someone who is not useful or perhaps even dangerous or harmful, aka bad, a word which requires a separate video examination. Compare this to not good, which expresses that there was an expectation of something good happening that was not fulfilled. If an athlete fails to do well in a competition, they might say their performance was not good, indicating they expected to do better. If a new recipe you try doesn't exactly suit your taste, you might describe the dish as not good. If we learn a gigantic asteroid is hurtling toward the Earth and could do massive destructive damage, we would most definitely describe that as not good and send Bruce Willis to space to fix that problem for us. The point is, no good and not good, while often used in the same settings, communicate the absence of value, but no good shows a fundamental lack of value, while not good shows there is possibility for something to be good. And this leads us into our final point for today, the thumbs up emoji. One would certainly think this emoji has potential to mean good things, right? After all, giving someone a thumbs up is arguably a universally understood sign for good or okay. But with different generations assigning this emoji different meanings in different contexts, it spurred some fierce debate about how to actually interpret the meaning. Although some news outlets have seized on minor discussions of this topic and inflated the importance of the problem with outrageous statements like "Gen Z is canceling the thumbs up emoji," the brief flurry of dubious news articles that emerged showed there can be a surprising amount of wiggle room for interpretation with a thumbs up. Older generations use it to mean "I approve," or "okay," or "I see your message and have nothing left to add." Some in younger generations, however, may at times interpret the thumbs up sarcastically, or perhaps even passive-aggressively, which is something we can also use a physical thumbs up to do. It's like saying, "Great job," when someone royally screws up at work. See? Very sarcastic. Moreover, some people may interpret a lone thumbs up in response to an enthusiastic message to be a sign the person is upset with them or is disinterested in them, which may not be a generational thing, but simply an expectation that the other party will match their enthusiastic energy levels, something that, as many people with corporate work experience can attest to, happens rarely. There are even cases where now ending a sentence with a period can have similar passive-aggressive undertones, indicating that the writer of said highly scary message is being professional and proper, and therefore stern and serious and unsilly. But this is a topic for another day. While the thumbs up emoji has most definitely not been canceled, at the very least, this does indicate that usage of emoji can create wildly different interpretations of a message. So much so that some experts have even started recommending people refrain from using emojis in professional communication altogether. All of this goes to show that so much miscommunication can happen just around a word or symbol that is used to mean good. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even covered expressions like "it's all good," or "so far so good," or "for good," or "good riddance," or even "good to go," which you may be surprised to know didn't even appear in usage until 1989. Good is included in so many expressions in the English language and factors into so many sarcastic comments that it can create a minefield of misunderstandings and confusion, especially when talking to non-native English speakers. We could argue with a great deal of irony that given the original efficient or useful sense of the word, good is in fact no longer good in all uses. It has become a catch-all, lazy adjective for things that please us, or at the very least are not bad, like a dog that can speedrun a video game. For example, if you enjoyed this video, you might write a comment saying something like, "That was good," just after you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. And you know what? You would be good for doing that.